Hey there, everyone. Welcome to our East Bay Live Comps and Coffee. We always like to bring, information to our clients and our friends and people we know. And we have the most amazing special guest today. So what we'll do is we'll introduce Mary real quick, but why don't we have our team introduce each other? I'm Lisa Doyle. I'm a real estate agent here in the East Bay.
I'm Kim Winters, and I'm a real estate agent with the Doyle Team.
I'm Diana Carcamo and also realtor.
And I'm TJ Smith. I'm a realtor too.
Yeah, that's our team. So, and we have a very dear friend. I've, liked Mary and admired Mary for so many years. So we have Mary Nawabi with us. Mary will give a little bit about her background. But Mary's here to join us because in our industry, unfortunately, when people move, sometimes they're moving for, exciting new adventures, bigger houses, smaller houses, retirements, things that are positive. And sometimes people are moving because they've gone through a rough time. We have a lot of clients that experience divorce and job loss and things like that that causes them to move. And so we wanted to bring Mary to join us just to share, maybe some tips and advice about how to get through some of those challenges, how to maneuver that. So we've got some great questions, Mary, that we have had clients ask us. But Mary, why don't you introduce yourself? Give a little bit about your background and,
Yes, I'm Mary Nawabi, and I'm a life coach specializing helping families and bringing love, peace, and happiness balance. So those are the stuff that I'm truly passionate about, and I've been trained by some of you may know Tony Robbins as a mindset coach, studying the psychology of human mind and emotions. And I've been also trained as a certified coach in leadership. And I've helped a lot of people since 2011, with the psychology of success, being happy, and most importantly, just leading and showing the way for just truly being happy. That is my main goal. And obviously, life is not easy for some of us. It could be difficult at times, going through changes, going through stressful times, having families, having kids, these are all real life challenges. And so my goal is just to bring peace and, through resolving conflicts and helping people just to find a way where they could find some happiness and balance and joy and truly enjoy life, because that's what's meant to be, right? Just to truly enjoy life.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm good at, showing the way.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. I love that. I know, this last year, of course, has been rough for a lot of families. They talk about the national statistics of, because of all the stress with COVID and, people's jobs and things, and just stress of families, that divorce rates are higher. And, people's moves have been sometimes through not joyful moves, but because of forced moves and stress moves. So, we so appreciate you being here to help us, to help our clients.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
thank you. Yeah, so we have some questions. We're just going to get right to it, fire away with some of our questions that our clients go through. And so I know Kim had one first.
I do. So, we work so much with, a great majority of our clients. A lot of them have children and families. And so some of the things that one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is how can parents best prepare their kids for, a stressful move or a move in general? I mean, I think even in the best of situations, when people are excited and happy, it can still be super stressful on the kids with just change and neighborhood. So just wondered what your thoughts were on preparing the kids for a move.
Yes, I think it's very important first to understand that a change is not easy, right? I think it's the first step is to understand that and recognize and validate that for yourself and for the family. I think often we get so much into going through the change that we forget to do that. I think that's step number one, is that to recognize and validate and talk about it, that this change is not going to be easy for everyone, especially for kids. And also understanding that in a family dynamic, everyone is so different. They handle stress so differently. For me, for example, in my family, I can handle any kind of stress like my brain goes into solution mode. But my husband may not be that way, or my son may not be that way. My daughter might completely handle emotions so differently. Like she goes, hides in a corner and wants to cry, right? And somebody else might just go completely quiet. They don't express their emotions, right? They may lean on other things to just express their emotions. I may just talk about it and hire a coach because I'm like, this is, I want to resolve things. I don't want to get stuck with things. Now, everyone is so different. I think recognizing that in a family dynamic, everyone is different, and that's okay, is important. Because I think most of the time, how I am, people tend to judge others and they expect them to be exactly the way they are. And it's a difficult thing not to do as parents. It's like, why can't you just pick up the stuff and just do this? Why can't you just like do, X, Y, Z? Because that's the way I am. I expect the whole world to be that way.
Right.
And that is completely not right. And it does not help everyone to come together. So I think that's important to recognize and validate and understand everyone is different. And also in a family dynamic, right? It's you sit down together, talk about certain things, but it's also important to, as a mom, especially because moms are so good with connecting emotionally with kids. Some dads are not. It's just a male and female energy that is so different. It's to connect with your kid or child or older kid. It doesn't matter what age group you're in. One-on-one. One-on-one is so important. Like, I know some teenagers, like, they don't want to talk, like they just want to say one or two words and that's it. How do you connect with them, right? You connect to their level. If they're playing video game, say, you know what? Can you teach me how to play a video game? And you sit with them. Because as parents, we look at that as like, no, I don't want to do it that way, right? I want to do it my way, which they may not connect to your way. So sitting and learning the video game or just talking about what kind of a game you're playing or what kind of a movie you're watching, you get to their level. Once you get to their level, then they feel safe enough to open up. Otherwise, they will never feel safe enough to open up. If your kid is into biking, say, let's go for a bike ride. Let's go into the nature for a walk. Can you help mommy? I just feel stressed. Maybe you can go on a walk with me. I've had some clients that are doing amazing things during their walk with their kids, but one-on-one. Because sometimes that kid needs that one-on-one attention away from everybody and everything. And they open up. So I have this client, he's got two teenagers. One is 19, one is 17. And the mom is kind of her personality is a little bit more driven by control. She's always like, routine, control, and the kids are emotionally not connecting with that. So there's a lot of pull and push between mom and the kids. And the dad is more kind of a balanced and, he can like talk to kids more like in a calm, balanced way. And I recommended just take that one son that is struggling so much on a walk. Just walk. And he's like, well, everyone wants to come with me. I'm like, no, just the two of you. And he's reporting amazing progresses. He's able to share all of the stuff that's going on inside of him. So the dad is kind of playing the psychologist, the therapist, right? So that helps just to bring stuff up. Because that's what you want for you and for everybody else, to bring stuff up because we hold it in.
Yeah.
Right.
Get them talking. Yeah.
Yeah. Get them talking. Right. And get them talking, but you have to not play the controlling parent, because the moment you tell them what to do, the trust is gone, because they're going to say, well, you're going to tell me what to do again. And that's the last thing they want to hear. They want someone to just listen. That's all they want, right? So that's one thing that is so important. That's step number one. Step number two is talk to them about something, some reward, some exciting things that is going to be good for them for that move that's coming up, right? Because they're going through the stressful time. So we were going through actually a move right now, and my daughter is like, she does not like change. Like my son does okay with change. He gets excited, but my daughter is like, no, don't talk about change. So we talked about getting her a puppy. We have a dog, but getting her a puppy. Now she's all focusing into that puppy. It's like, when are we moving? When are we moving? So
That's awesome.
find something that excites your kid or even excites you, so you could look forward to that next thing that excites you. So then you're focused into, because you want to know how to trick the brain to focus into the pleasure, not pain. Anything that would be pleasure, you want to focus on that.
Yeah.
And so that's another strategy. Like if, going to Disneyland or like getting a puppy or getting a bike or whatever that excites you or your kid, talk about that, and that will get them excited, right? Another step is daily meditation and breathing techniques. It changed my life. I think how I dealt with COVID was all through meditation and breathing techniques. I cannot tell you the importance of releasing stress through meditation. Now, I know for kids, it's difficult. For us, it's difficult to sit through a meditation for 5 minutes. But even for 1 to 5 minutes, just breathing in and out, it releases all of that negative thinking inside of their body and allows them to express.
Yeah.
So that
That's
would
awesome.
be so important,
Do you have any, Mary, do you have any books for kids on learning to meditate? Like spoken to a young, from a young perspective?
On meditation, there's an app. I don't have a specific book right now I can think of, but there's an app called Calm.
Oh, I've heard of
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I've heard of that.
that's really good for everybody, and it kind of reminds you throughout the day, hey, pause, take a minute and breathe. That is so important. I think and there's another app. It's called 10% Happier.
Okay.
That's also very, very effective. But I think just even on YouTube, if you say meditation for kids, so many things will pop up for you.
Thank you.
Right? And you just take your time. And it's important to do the meditation first thing in the morning, like before they go to school, just for even like a minute or 5 minutes, and before they go to bed. So they could, release all of that toxicity. For my daughter, I actually play at nighttime when we fall asleep. She sleeps with us. So I play that is meditation for kids, and they tell you stories, because storytellings are so powerful for kids. So whatever she had throughout the day stress, that storytelling turns the brain waves into a pleasant experience, so she falls asleep within like seconds.
Nice.
So I think these are great techniques for kids to get the brain into a happy zone.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah, such a, it's just, and kids, I remember families that when they were moving, the kids are like, they're going through complete and utter breakdown. And you discover, like a 5 and 6-year-old, you discover because they feel like if they move, all the things that they love are not going to be there with them. Like all of their room and the things that make them feel secure and all the things. And so just the parent to, in advance, reassure them that everything that they have that makes them feel secure and comfortable and loved in their home is going to be there when they get to their new home. It's like, and a lot of parents maybe not realize that that's what kids believe, that they think that all of their stuffed animals that give them, security and all the things are not going to be there for them when they get there,
Absolutely. And I think get involved with them, sit down with them in their room and make some really fun and unique boxes for them, like with creativity. It's like, hey, let's get this, like, how can we pack these? So then they get involved in it. Yeah. And then, hey, let's draw your next room. How is this going to look like? How should we decorate that? I did that with my daughter. Hey, let's draw your room. And she came up with an amazing art piece. I was like, oh my God. It just gets their creativity going, and it gets them excited, so they're not focusing into the pain.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Lisa, like you said, the love is the foundation for kids, for all of us. Love and acceptance is the foundation. So when there's a move change, that part questions the love and acceptance. Right?
And the fear of change and stuff, like you said. That's awesome. And I know, TJ, you had a question too that was kind of down that same line. Your client.
Yeah. So I'm sure with everyone kind of all the kids going back to school and stuff, parents are, some kids might not adapt very well going back into like a social setting, and they might just not connect with their peers very well because they've been away for so long. So what would you say to parents that have kids that might be struggling going back to school and kind of readapting back to what they knew before?
Mhm.
I think that's a great question, by the way, and I think a lot of parents are dealing with that. My daughter is 6 and she just went back to school in person, and I think we live in Brentwood, California, and 45% of parents voted in for people to actually go in school, and the rest didn't because of all the stress and all the questions, what ifs. So I think it's the best way to prepare your kids. Again, I think you have to really sit down and talk to them. Talk to them about the importance and the fun part of school. Because kids, it depends like at what age. Like my daughter is 6, she does not comprehend what school is for, right?
Yeah.
And it's good. I don't want her to comprehend at this age, right? For her, it's all about social skills, right? It's adapting into a change and learning how to adapt to that. Talking to the kids about the importance of school from like a fun perspective, it's so important. Like talk about, okay, let's write down 10 things that is going to be so exciting for you going back to school, right? Like connecting with friends. It depends the age group, right? What age group they're in. Going back to the sports, because some kids are so good with sports, they miss that connection, right? Mm-hmm. Talk about like having fun on the playground, having fun at the games, having fun with their friends. Again, focusing on the importance and what's going to be fun for them from their eyes, their perspective. Age group is different for each one, right? And providing an opportunity beforehand they go to school, like setting up play dates, setting up, for kids, for their friends to come over. Now, like everyone's opening and people are, getting vaccinated, so people are more open to get-togethers, right? And providing that safe environment for them to interact before they go to school, because to them, it's almost like, oh, I don't want to go back to school. It's like I'm comfortable doing it in front of a computer. That this is okay. They're getting in their comfort zone, right? It's good, but maybe that's not what they need. They
might feel awkward too, because some of the kids haven't seen their friends in such a long time. Just that awkward fear of a reconnection. And what if so-and-so doesn't, what if their friends aren't as connected with them as they used to be, or whatever.
Yes.
Unknowns.
My nephew, he's in the middle school, and so I asked him, are you going to go back to school, now that they're opening? He's like, no, we voted for us to stay in, I don't want to go. It's just for they said what, like for 4 days and only for 2 hours. I don't want to go. I said, I know, but tell me, like, if you did go, what would be like so exciting for you? And he's like, well, connecting with my friends, but I don't know if, like, it's been such a long time. I could totally see the fear. Mm-hmm. And I told my sister, hey, set up a play date, set up for them to go out, play, reach out to parents who's open to get-togethers.
Yeah.
Do the get-togethers before they actually go to school. Mm-hmm. And that was such an easy, smooth process, because then he's like, oh my God, I'm loving this.
Yeah.
Now he's like, I want to go. I can't wait for the school to start.
Yeah, that's
and then
good.
the fear goes away.
The fear goes away. Everything is fear-based. Everything that they don't want is fear-based. So we just have to help them eliminate that and see, again, what could be fun for them. Because that motivates them. Kids always get excited by fun things.
Exactly.
Right? Some of them get excited by their grades, but not everybody.
Exactly. Exactly. So some of us for sure back in the day. Yeah, and I know Diana, we were talking about a client of yours had a question that was
because right now we are seeing a lot of divorces, so we're dealing with a lot of clients that are going through this hard time. So are there any parenting tips that you can recommend for parents going through the divorce, because there's going to be lots of changes for the whole, kids and the whole family?
Yeah.
And I think it is so important for parents, for themselves to, I think step number one is to accept being a co-parent as your new relationship, because some people are so used to relying on the spouse, right, for additional support for whatever the way they were parenting. Now you feel all alone, and it's not easy for people just to be by yourself, especially for women, right? Because we take on all of this emotion. So it sometimes it could be very difficult. Accept that this would be the new way to co-parent, right? The acceptance part is very important. And I think second is to establish a routine schedule for the family. Because I know some kids don't like the routine, but just keeping them on that routine will also give them some happiness for kids. So they like, okay, we're moving, it's not the same home, maybe it's not even the same school, maybe it's not even the same job for parents, and maybe it's not even the same income, right? Some parents that are like on one income, they're like, hey, I can't buy you this anymore, it's only my income. So a lot of changes going. If you have some routine for them, it actually helps them go through those changes more smoothly, whatever that routine might be, right? Number 3 is, I think, to be really honest with your children, but you don't have to overshare, right? You have to be honest about what's going on. Overshare, what I mean by this is like you have to understand their emotional level. Sometimes some parents share too much about what they're going through, right? Whatever. In most cases, when I handle like conflicts through marriage, is like someone cheated on somebody, right? That's very common. And the parent, the mom or dad that is the victim, they usually stay as a victim for a long time, and they lash out to their kids, talking bad about the party that was, inflicted the pain. And maybe sharing too much because the child or the kid, they don't know how to handle all of these emotions. And they're trying to like, they love their mom and dad, but they're like, whoa, one is the hero, one is the victim. That is the worst place for anyone to be, especially for kids, because they want to take sides and they don't want to. It's like really tough position. So be careful, be honest, but don't overshare, because they can't handle all of the emotions, right? The other part is
they
that
shouldn't have to be handling those emotions. Like,
yeah, right. I think it's important not to trash talk about your ex to your children, and I know sometimes at the beginning people are so mad, so angry. It's part of the process. But if you can find it in your heart not to trash talk your ex, I think it's going to do your family and your kids really, it's going to do really a good job for them just to stay stable, right? And then you don't want to argue, right, with your ex in front of your kids. I know we all know this, but it's so important. Maybe go separately, go in a car, go to a park, away from the kids, go into the garage. The car is the best place. I tell people, if you have to resolve issues, go both of you in a car, and then, so they don't hear everything. So I think those are the tips that I can tell in terms of like co-parenting and going through divorce. And obviously, if you can't do any of these things I'm talking about, you want to reach out to a life coach like myself, because we're more skilled and we're more like neutral, and we know how to handle these situations, so we can help everyone, smoothly transition into their new life. Like I recognize some people are not good at handling certain things, right? And if you're not, it's okay to ask for help.
exactly. No, we so appreciate that. And I know right now, given that, we're starting to see TJ mentioned in the opening, we're starting to get back to some semblance of normal in most of our states and cities. And, this information is going out to clients all over the country, and, mostly California, we've been a little more shut down than some. So we're just starting to get the opening of, but we have a lot of clients that the parents are trying to transition after COVID. Maybe they've lost their job. Maybe their business has had to pivot. Maybe they're changing careers because of COVID. What would you say to them that would be some good advice on how to best maneuver, changing because of COVID, and how do you get back to work and, just that kind of advice that would be helpful.
Sure, sure, of course. I think step number one is, so if you are someone who is a business owner versus you had a job, right? You told you your outlook and your plan is going to be different.
Right.
If you're someone who had a small business, or you're a business owner, now you're looking at, and you lost everything, right? Now you have to go back starting all over, which I know this part is so difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so you have to sit down and reevaluate not just your business, your life. The reason I'm saying this, because I know COVID brought so much pain to people. At the same time, I think it brought so many golden opportunities for people.
Yeah.
Maybe you were stuck at the business. Maybe you didn't love it. This is a moment to reevaluate and say, let me hit the pause and look at my life, how I want to live my life from here on, right? Look at your life from every angle, what you want to do. So as a life coach, this is what I show the way to people. Is like, hey, you want to be happy about life. I know making money is important. It's an important part of our life. At the same time, it's not everything. I've worked with people that have made millions, but yet they were not happy at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
I think it's to discover what you want in your business. First, what you want in your life and what you want in your business. What is your goal? How much money do you need to make for the family? And how much money do you desire, right? Those are two different things. What you need versus what you desire. And not to focus on what you don't want. You and I know, Lisa, we've been part of so many great, personal development programs and so many mastermind groups. It's so often that we go into the mindset of what I don't want, which that's fear-based. Focus on what you do want. Eliminate anything that you focus into, well, I want this, but when the but comes is like, that's where the fear is. It's like, no, this is what I want. I want to live my life this way, and I want to have this kind of income. I want to have this kind of a business. Once you know that, the clarity about that, then you can create a roadmap how to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you don't know what you want, you're not going to be able to create the roadmap. So I think it's important to sit down with a coach, with the help of somebody, a mastermind group, and figure out what is it that you want out of life. What changes do you want to make? And then you can create a roadmap, and then you can focus on how to get there. Yeah. A lot of people are changing, like moving, because of what COVID brought, an opportunity to work out of home. I talk to so many people like, hey, I don't need to be living in San Francisco and paying such a high mortgage. I'll be moving to a different location and have a really, low mortgage where I don't need to be in a high price area. Things like that. People are really thinking, reevaluating that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my advice for people that are business owners. For people that are not business owners and they've just lost their job, I think it's very important as a strength building coach. I've helped a lot of people transition, leave what they were not happy with their job, and really start a completely new career. Yeah. And one of the first steps is you have to take a personality assessment. And if you don't know how, you could Google it, send me an email, I'll send you the link for free. You can take that. It shows you who you are and what are your natural best talents that you're born with, besides your experiences, besides your skill set. Because there's certain things we're born with that you can lean on that to actually live your life and love your job. So I think, because a lot of people are going back into making their resumes, right? So you have to know your personality and do an assessment and look at that to see what kind of a job recommendations your personality assessment is giving you. And then based on those level of so you have to list level of experience you've had, what you did before, can you take that to the next job, right? And what kind of skill set you have and what kind of a natural talents you have. And based on all of those, you put it together on a resume and see what's available for you. What positions? So my brother actually went through this and kind of helped them, briefly in that department too. So he was working for Marriott He was always involved in the food industry, like, you know, the management, the restaurant. So he was the manager for the Marriott for their restaurant. So they shut down, right? There was nothing, zero. And then so we looked at his skill set, we looked at his experiences, we looked at his natural talents. He got into property management, which was a really good transition for him because that's what he loves to do. He's like, I don't want to work 8 to 5. I want to be on call available. And he loves to help people like with different challenges. So he's doing really good.
Yeah. So he pivoted into a different line of work and
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And like you said, there are people that have had a change during this time that maybe it's for the best. Maybe they'll get a chance to start something that they've always wanted to, but never had the courage. And now they're kind of like the universe kind of forced them into it. But ultimately it will bring them the most joy, you know?
Exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so great, Mary. And thank you so much for helping, you know, just to share, you know, like we've talked before, you know, so many of families that make moves, a certain percentage are going through transitions that are difficult, and they're making a move because of a difficult family dynamic, and, you know, helping them get through that. You know, you were such a great, you know, contribution to that. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Of course.
Yeah,
My
thank you.
pleasure.
And then if someone wanted to engage with you, Mary, because they need some additional help or they want to get for their children, and I know you specialize with kids and families, can you give us a little bit about where could they reach you? Like
I think the best way would be just to send me an email. They can always go on my website, which is marynawabi.com, to learn more about myself.
Okay.
You can always email me, mary@marynawabi.com, with questions. I'll do is a one free consultation session with you to see if we're a good fit, and you may have some questions about what you're challenging. And if that's a good fit, you want to work with me, then we go from there.
Nice. Yeah, thank you. That's wonderful. Yeah. So you guys, any other questions we want to ask Mary before we let her go?
Was she going to give us a list of books or recommend? Yeah.
Thank you guys.
For parents,
Awesome. Yeah.
kids. Yeah.
So, you know, I have a son, so I think it's very important to know if you have,
yeah.
This is
That's a good one.
a really nice book.
Yeah.
And this is another book. This is just for teens and for kids and understanding relationship.
Oh, I love that. Now, is this one that your kids would read? Is that with the kids, the teenager, or is this for the parent to read and how to, or both?
For both. Awesome. Yeah, because I think it's important for both to really understand.
Can you raise that one that it cut you out? What was it? The relationship one?
Oh, you want to see the book?
Relationship Skills 101 for teens.
Oh, I love that, Mary. Thank you. And do you know, Mary, is that audiobook as well, or is it just hard book?
You know, I don't know. I haven't checked it. They may have the audio.
We'll check it out and we'll put it on this because this will be a recording that people can go back to. We'll put the link on there if there's an audio,
okay,
so that people can get the audio. I know some people enjoy that, so you can listen while you're driving. And
yeah,
you know, and I remember when my kids were young, I would listen to positive things in the car. And it would be like they would just get it by osmosis, right? So that's a trick too. You can play it while you're driving.
Yes. And I think it's very important to understand because, you know, Lisa, you and I kind of had conversation about this too, to really, I've had some experiences with teenagers that I work that they had some other like illnesses, you know, like they had ADD or, you know, bipolar. And so I think it's so important when you're a parent, sometimes people don't know if their kids have these conditions, and their approach is kind of like a normal approach to parenting, that they're treating their kids as if they should perform at a very normal level, and some of these kids have really difficulty performing at the normal level. So if you have a kid or a child that you feel like it's very challenging, they're very emotional, it's important to pause and diagnose and see what else they're dealing with, because if you don't know,
yeah, that makes sense.
The end result, I've seen people commit suicide. I've seen people it could be really, the end result could be really horrific. So it's important to kind of understand your kid, your child, you know, what their needs are and what they're going through.
And if anyone is experiencing that, of course, reach out to a psychologist right away. Get help immediately. If your kids are struggling and it's more serious than just stress or overwhelm,
Right.
I would say get in touch with a psychologist right away to do something, intervene.
Get evaluated.
Yeah.
Get evaluated right away. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mary. We so look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Thank you
Give
all.
everybody our best, and then
Yeah.
we appreciate your contribution. We hope everyone has enjoyed. I think this has been
Thank
awesome.
you so much. Likewise.
See you guys soon. Take care.
Bye.
Be well, everybody.
Bye.